Hi there, welcome to Create with Copper. These videos show you techniques and tutorials for making jewellery, so hit that subscribe button for more. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adjustable copper ring. This is a fairly simple ring, but has great impact when worn. It's also a really great make for practicing some of the basics of copper work, as it includes forging, texturing and colouring. For this project I'm using copper tape, which is 1mm thick or 19 gauge. It's 7mm wide and I'm using a piece 5.5cm long. You could also cut a piece of metal sheet. The tools I'm using are hammers, a steel block and a rubber block, a jeweller's torch and soldering block, nylon jaw pliers, a file, a ring mandrel and polishing tools. One of the advantages of using tape is that you've automatically got parallel edges, but I'm going to start by altering this and flaring the ends. I'm going to use my raising hammer as it's perfect for this job, but you could use a flat-faced hammer. And I'm just going to start right at the end of the piece of copper and strike it several times along that edge until it starts to flare out. Incidentally, I've started off with the tape being fully annealed, so it's nice and soft and easy to work with. I can then move a little bit further towards the centre to make sure that that outside edge is a gentle curve. I can then turn the tape around and do the same the other end, which gives us this shape. I don't want to hammer the ends too much because I don't want the metal to get too thin at the ends. I then want to texture the piece, and I'm just going to use my ball peen hammer and hammer all over the piece. I'm only texturing one side, the inside of the ring will stay smooth. Once I've hammered randomly along the whole piece, I'm going to go back in and carefully hammer along the edges. That's just to make sure that the edges of the piece are also well textured. If you're holding the piece like I am, just be careful that you don't hit your fingers with the hammer. And this is how it looks fully textured. The next thing I want to do is start shaping the ring, but the copper's now work hardened, so first off I'm going to anneal it. So I'm just taking my torch and I'm going to heat the whole piece. And I'm just going to continue heating until it starts to glow. Bear with me as I'm recording this in real time, just to show how long it takes with a handheld micro torch like mine. The glow's quite subtle, but I hope you can pick it up on camera. That should mean the copper's now soft enough to work with. So I'll now quench the piece in a bowl of water to cool it down so I can continue working. Now I could leave the ring flat, but I want it to be slightly concave along its length, so the ring will basically be an anti-clastic form. Now the best way to achieve this would probably be a sinusoidal stake, but I haven't got one of those, so I'm going to attempt to do this by hand. So I'm just going to use my nylon jaw pliers and just gently work my way along the length of the copper, just bending it slightly. Just work your way along slowly. The effect is quite subtle, but if you check the back you can see that it's curving. And just to enhance that a little bit, I'm going to use my ball peen hammer on the very centre of the copper. And I'm hammering onto my rubber block just because it's got a little bit of give. Now the metal might still be quite soft, but just to be sure I'm going to anneal it again. And then at this stage I'll also put it in the pickle to clean it up. Now one other thing I want to do before shaping this into a ring is just file off those corners, just so that they're a bit rounded. You can make these as square or as rounded as you like. I just don't want anything to catch or dig in. Now I'm ready to create the ring shape. So I'll take my ring mandrel and I'm going to start at a fairly wide point and just gently bend the copper around. I'm then going to work my way up the mandrel just to decrease that size. And I just want it so there's a small gap between the two ends of the copper. Now you find the two ends are just a little bit straight, they're not touching the ring mandrel. So what you can do is take your ball peen hammer and just lightly hammer the centre of the curve just to get them to touch the ring mandrel. And you'll find the rings now a circular shape. So now I want to polish the ring. As well as giving it its shine, this will help to work harden the copper. And I'm starting with a silicone disc. This won't get into the recesses, but I always find it's a good place to start. Now the disc is a little bit too large to fit into the centre of the ring to be able to do the inside. So for that I need a smaller disc, or one of the points like I have here. This one's a bit too small, but you get the idea. To then polish up all of the texture, I'm going to use my radial discs. And as for all polishing, I'm just going to move to a finer and finer grit. And I'll finish with some rouge and a polishing mop. For a more in-depth look at polishing, you can check out my polishing and finishing video. I'll put the link in a card and in the description below. And then finally I want to heat colour the ring. Now this isn't an exact science. I'm just going in with the flame to those copper ends, and the copper will colour as it cools down, so you need to keep taking the flame away and checking what colour develops. And just keep going back in with the flame until you get a colour that you want. I'm going to turn the ring round and do the other side. And I'm showing the heating in real time just so you can see how quick it can be. You don't really need much heat at all. And then once you've got the colour that you want, you need to leave that to cool down naturally. I've actually managed to get some purple there. I don't know if it'll stay. The colours do change if you use something like Renaissance wax to protect the piece. But that's the ring finished. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please press the like button below. Don't forget you can subscribe to my channel and head over to my website for more hints, tips and projects. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.